reader decides if your book is worth reading in the first 2 paragraphs. You want to hook them, and you want to pull them into your story so much that they never want to leave. So how the heck do you do that? You get the reader to bond with your character. You need to make them feel something for your main character right away. But how do you do that in only 2 paragraphs? Well, the answer to that is what we're going to go over today. Hi Novelteer, I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing and self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of 200 books. I've also read 399 books in a year, and pattern recognition is kind of my thing. And I've noticed that all great stories start only a handful of ways. Fortunately, there's a simple way to do it. There are tried and true story starters that make readers interested in your book, and they all have one thing in common. Today is not like yesterday. There is something very different about today, and it might change all the tomorrows forever. I did want to note that this can't be a random change, but it has to be something related to the story. An adult's greatest fear is losing control of their circumstances, of their whole life. So by showing a loss of the main character's control right away, you can get your readers to feel something for them without you actually having to do anything else. This is what hooks your readers. Below, you're going to find a variety of changes that you can start your story with. These aren't the only ways to start a story, of course, but they are the best ways. So stay tuned to the end, and I'll show you examples of how to use multiple starters in your opening for maximum effect. Option 1. The breakup. The ending of a long-term relationship makes us feel sad and uncertain about the future. Whether it's a breakup or divorce, the ending of such a relationship is a perfect way to make the reader bond with the character. After all, most people have a breakup in their past, so that makes this relatable. In the First Wives Club, the breakup happens first thing. 3 women bond over the fact that their husbands left them for younger women. They become friends, and then they take revenge on their husbands. Hilarity ensues. Option 2. The Special Day. We all know those young adult stories where a character turns an age and then things happen to them. Some secret is revealed, and so on. And there's a reason this trope is so popular. It's because on special days, we believe our entire life can be uprooted. A special day can be a birthday, an anniversary, a cultural thing, or even a holiday or a state-sponsored special day. Whatever is special about today, it was not true yesterday. But because today is different, everything will be different tomorrow. In Encanto, it's a special day, but not for the main character, for her little cousin. Still, Mirabelle's happy for him, and she wants his special day to go off without a hitch, even if it does bring up all these uncomfortable feelings about her own special day, which was a complete disaster. Option 3 is introducing a new person. It's been said that people enter your lives for a reason, bringing something you need to learn. No idea if that's actually true in life, but in fiction, that's always true. Random people that don't impact the story just don't show up. They're there for a reason. That's why one of the most common ways to get your story started is to introduce a new person. This new person brings with them either an opportunity or a threat. Of course, the main character doesn't know this yet, not always, but they're about to find out, and their lives are forever changed. In Pretty Woman, Edward and Vivian are living 2 separate lives. They don't know each other. That is, until they meet each other, and Edward hatches his plan. If they hadn't met that day, none of the rest of the story would have happened. Option 4 is a new opportunity, or it could also be a new job or assignment. This is when a person has gotten either a new job or opportunity. This is what starts the story. It's a big deal, because if they were in their old job, there would be no story. When a person starts a new job, everything they know is in flux until they find their footing, which breeds conflict. In The Devil Wears Prada, the MC has just landed her first job in fashion. She's working for a high-powered company with an even higher-powered boss. This story is actually about the job, so starting it is a major plot point. Many new opportunities also come paired with new people as well, just like this one did. Similarly, the assignment, when a person is at their same job but gets a new assignment. Detectives fall into this category, as does Indiana Jones. He always works for the same museum, but they're always asking him to do something different. Option 5 is the opposite of that. It's getting fired. Our job is our livelihood, and when that goes away, we naturally get scared. And your reader will get scared for your character if they lose their job right at the start, too. Job loss just doesn't come with a lack of money. It comes with uncertainty about the future and a lack of self-esteem that could be crushing. Your reader understands this and feels for your character through their own experiences. In Atlantis, The Lost Empire, this movie started this way. Now, you could say I'm cheating with this a little because Atlantis actually starts with a prologue, but we're going to pretend that it doesn't. Milo is the main character, and his part of the story starts with him being laughed out of academia out of a disastrous presentation. Then he meets a new person who gives him the opportunity to discover Atlantis. It's a 3-for-1 opening, which is how better openings work, and we're going to go into more about that at the end. I used Atlantis because it's one of my favorite movies, and very underrated. But what are some other stories you could think of that start with the character losing their job? Mention them in the comments. So option 6 is a new place. There's a reason that so many horror movies start with the characters moving into a new house. It's because when you don't have the home court advantage, everything seems scary. You're unsettled, and you need to find your way in this new world. Moving is one of the top 5 stressors in life, right up there with death and illness and things like that, divorce. But your character doesn't have to be in a new home to be in a new place. They could be on vacation. They could be on a business trip. They could even be in their own hometown in a store they've never seen before. These are all new places. In Gremlins, Billy's dad's new place was the unfamiliar neighborhood and the store where he bought Gizmo. He wasn't moving there. In fact, he was only in the store for probably less than an hour. But being in that new place set the events of the story in motion. Option 7 is illness. Finding out we have a serious illness is one of the biggest fears in life. That's why if your character has a serious illness, accident, or disability right at the start, we feel for them. It sets the tone for the story and for the rest of their life. In Brain on Fire, a journalist starts acting crazy only to discover she has a disease that is literally cooking her brain. Option 8 is death. Now, it's not common to start out a story with a funeral or a death, but it can be done. The common way of doing this is to have a funeral and then have the story in flashback form with someone narrating the dead person's life. And while you can do it that way, it's not the only way a death matters. A death can also matter for a reason that has nothing to do with the dead character themselves. For example, many women's fiction, thrillers, and horror start out with a death. Usually it's the death of the husband. Now the main character has to figure out how to navigate life without them and while they're still grieving. The death is the catalyst that drives the story, even though the dead character themselves never is mentioned again. In Midsummer, the main character is struggling with the death of her sister. This makes her vulnerable, and this also makes her make out-of-character choices. So when her boyfriend suggests they go with friends to the Midsummer Festival, she doesn't really have the resolve to say no. While this type of opening isn't common, it is powerful. What are your thoughts? Can you think of another movie that actually starts with a death? Shout them out below. Option 9 is waking up in an unfamiliar situation. You've likely been told never to start with a character waking up because it's too boring, too ordinary. You know what is not boring and ordinary? When a character wakes up in a situation or place they don't remember falling asleep in. This could be an accident, or it could be something else entirely. They could wake up chained to a bed. They could wake up in the wrong house. They could wake up in the hospital. They could even wake up to someone they don't remember going to sleep with. That can be a type of conflict in itself. Is this stranger in the bed an actual stranger? An ex? A partner of someone else? Is this person even alive? Maybe they wake up to a dead person and are covered in blood. That gets the reader's attention for sure. In Dark Mirror, the main character wakes up to her husband and she's covered in blood, and so is he. But she's alive and he's most definitely dead. And that starts the movie. So now let's go to option 10, the new object. A favorite of horror stories, a new object comes into someone's life and completely turns their life upside down. We know that object is going to do that, otherwise there would be no object in this story. Sometimes the object can be given to them by a new person, or other times the object can come in the mail, be discovered in the already existing house, and so on. And of course, if the object is more like finding a body in the backyard, that's more like a secret than an object. In Psycho, Marion Crane, spoiler alert, she is not the main character, her object is money. She suddenly sees a way to get a lot of money from her employer very quickly. She can just steal it. This money wasn't available yesterday, and it will not be available for her to steal tomorrow, so today has to be the day she does it. If she hadn't done that, she never would have met Norman. Option 11, a secret revealed. Readers love secrets. Humans love gossip in general. We're built that way as part of our survival mechanism. So when you share a secret about your character in their life right in the beginning, a secret even they didn't know until this point, you have our attention. Sometimes this can be done as a prologue, but if it's written well enough, it's still compelling enough for the reader to love it. In Clue, the characters know they have a secret when they arrive, and that's why they're being blackmailed. We, as the audience, also know there's a secret, but we don't know what it is yet. We watch to discover what it is. Can you think of other movies or books that open with a secret? Mention them in the comments. And our final option, option 12, is witness. This is one of the more exciting openings because your main character witnesses something they should not have seen. This can set up the story and lead into a multitude of genres. It could be a thriller where the criminal is trying to track down the witness to eliminate them. It could be a comedy as a witness has to enter a witness protection program or tries to run away and is now a fish out of water. It could lead to a romance where the main character never would have met the love interest under normal circumstances. And unlike many of the other starters on this list, this one needs to be circled back around for the ending. Here's what I mean. If it's someone's birthday at the beginning of the book, you don't have to mention that again at the end. It's done. But you do have to mention that the criminal has got captured or something like that. We need to see it or at least hear about it so we know our main character is safe. This is also the story starter that leads to the most conflict within the story because at some point it has to be acknowledged that the criminal or their people are looking for the main characters and are getting too close. In Did You Hear About the Morgans, a city couple witnesses a killing and have to be put into witness protection. They end up in the country where they are unfamiliar with the culture, the customs, and have no basic survival skills. They also hate each other, so hilarity ensues. Now let's talk about that bonus tip I mentioned. You can actually combine these starters to get your story up and running. Let's look at some examples. In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the opening combines Special Day with New Place and Secret in the first chapter. And this is certainly something you can do too. It started out with a trip to the zoo. New Place. They were at the zoo because it was Dudley's birthday. Special Day. Then we got The Secret. Harry's a wizard. In Atlantis, the Lost Empire, we start with Milo getting laughed out of academia. Fired. Then we meet a friend of his family's, new person, who offers him a chance to find Atlantis. New opportunity. In Orphan, we see brief hints of a death, the couple's stillborn child, which convinces them to adopt by traveling to an orphanage, new place, and meeting Esther, new person. Are you starting to get a feel for how multiple starters work? If not, ask your question below and share some of your favorite multiple openers from your favorite work. If you're interested in learning more about how to write a book, check out my group coaching program at the link below. I also have a newsletter.